Hey folks, this is Rich and you're with Beekeeping with Rich. Today I got a fish story for you. Now don't go, oh, he's going to tell me about a swarm that got away and click away. It's not about a swarm that got away. Nobody got away here today. A week or so ago, 2 weeks now almost, I noticed a bunch of bees hovering above the monstera patch over here. And I didn't know. I commented to my wife that evening and said, I don't know whether there's a swarm moving in there or whether there's just monstera flowers blooming underneath all those leaves, and they must be loving them. So I'm going to go in tomorrow morning and either I'm going to find a swarm or I'm going to find the monstera flowers with bees on them, and that would be cool because I've never taken a picture of anything like that. So the next morning I went in. And I said, you know, if there's a swarm, they're probably going to be underneath there because there's a vise. That table has a forge on it. There's the vise. Here's the anvil for when I want to pound hot metal. And it's like, yeah, most likely if there's a swarm moving in, they'd be moving in underneath there. Okay. So I go in there the next morning and pick that up. There's no swarm underneath there. I picked up the other trash can, which has the propane tank under it. Unlikely because it's right to the ground, but nope, nothing in there. But there's definitely orientation flights going on and bees coming and going. And turned out they were coming and going from this box. This is, it was completely snap tight shut. It's a box full of small pieces of wood because one of my hobbies is building high-tech hobo stoves, different designs for high efficiency airflow and a lot of heat with very little wood. And this box has a whole bunch of wood split in it and nice and dry and underneath there for whenever I want to play with rocket stoves or hobo stoves. And I'm like, well, that's snapped shut. I know it's snapped shut. And I felt it, and yeah, but that's definitely where the bees were coming from. So we got set, put up a table out here. We were going to do a live unboxing video. I'm not looking at this, anything else. We're going to do it right in front of you. Got my equipment all set, popped it, opened the thing up, flipped it over, and there, yep, we had a, hold it up. We had a mature colony in there. That's all the comb. Yeah, and almost all those handles, all those palms of comb had brood in them. Did a perfect job. This is where the sorry. This is where the fish story comes in. It's like, honestly, we did a beautiful video of slicing the comb and putting it into frames and piecing it all together and rubber banding it all and putting them in the box and setting the box down on top of here and letting all the bees go up into it. It was a beautiful video. And somehow or other, the electronics glitched and we lost the entire video. So why am I bothering to tell you about the video that got away? Well, not really. I'm going to tell you about, I want to show you a couple of things that you often don't get a chance to get illustrated. And here it is. It's really cool. Like I said, this box was full of pieces of wood to use in my hobo stoves. And the bees, while they didn't do anything to the super smooth sides here, the bees completely put a propolis cocoon, a propolis layer on all the coarse wood. Look at that. All set together. All of this is locked in place. Pull on it. Well, oh, okay, I'm pulling them apart. I mean, it's not like it's that strong, but you can tug. See, it'll come apart, and you see all the propolis underneath it. But all of this is coated, as you can see, very uniformly in a layer of propolis. This is the area. Now, a little bit of the wood over here wasn't, but then again, this was underneath something else that was laying on top. and what was on top was propolis. But that came up when we lifted the lid, so it's not there to show. But look at that. In case you weren't visualizing the propolis layer in the bottom of a natural beehive in a tree, there's an example of it. And now here's the wildest part of this whole thing. Oh, you made me move this and I lost my dime. I need to look behind you, dear, see if I can find my dime on the floor.
Show them the holes.
Well, look at these holes. I guess my finger can be kind of a proportion. This is what the bees were coming in through. Not even half the size of Eisenhower's head. There was no gap in through here. You can see the propolis layer that they had run across here. This was completely sealed, all snapped together. This is where the bees were coming in and out. Right there. Look at those little holes. It is amazing that anybody got through there with a load of pollen on their legs.
They did.
That's how small a hole bees can choose to go into. And here's the wild thing.
There's your hardware spot.
It's fallen off when I move this. It's behind you somewhere.
Okay.
Too late. This was on the ground under the leaves of the monsteras over there. 15 feet away is a perfectly good piece of real estate, a swarm trap that is a swarm box, an 8-frame medium set up under an eave, 8 feet off the ground. That trap has caught in a single season 5 swarms in past years. Why these bees weren't interested in that and why they went in here, well, that's bees going to do what bees going to do, and there's nothing we can do about it. But what this video is about is 2 things. One, look how small the entrances the bees were using. You would not even think a bee would get through that just about. At least I would have had a problem with that before last weekend. We did a workshop, and the commercial guy who was giving us the workshop showed us his pollen traps, and his pollen traps were using 1/4-inch mesh as opposed to 1/8-inch mesh, and the bees can get through there, but it drags a lot of the pollen off their legs, and he collects that in a drawer and collects that at the end of the day and moves the trap on to the next hive.
Say that's a 1/4-inch?
So those holes are just over 1/4 of an inch in size, and that's all the bees needed to come and go and come and go. This was a mature hive in there. Now, like I say, it did not get away. It's in a 5-frame box with a second 5-frame stacked on top to make sure they had enough room. They're happily pulling the rubber bands off of the comb at this point and dragging them out the front. They're doing well. They're happy over there. Interestingly, the day I did the cutout and put them over there, I fed them with some comb that I had extracted the day before. I had not decided yet which beehive to put these combs in to get cleaned up. And then all of a sudden, here I am with a new beehive. So I just put a second medium or second nuke on top, popped the frames in there, left them in there for 3 days. At the end of 3 days, they were all cleaned up, all cleaned out. And I just put regular frames in after I took them out and put them in the freezer and gave them a feeder shim, and they're doing fine over there. But here's propolis envelope in nature, as you rarely get an opportunity to see it. And there's your little holes, and that's the end of the video. It's all we have left. We lost the good video on all that stuff, but there's always a teaching moment available. So this has been Rich with Beekeeping with Rich. Be sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day, everybody.